How are you guys today?
Good. How are you?
Good. And you're like, I have to come here after lunch to hear about resumes. Okay. I promise it won't take so very long. I promise I won't keep you the full hour, so just hang tight with me. What you guys have in front of you is our list of spring events. Our spring career fair is coming up in 2 weeks on March 2nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the McDonald Gym. We've got about 30 companies attending, and we hope to have a few more for you guys. And they're hiring for all sorts of positions, so please come out, especially if you're looking for summer internships. On the back of this card is a tic-tac-toe game. If you complete 3 squares and turn this back into us, you can be entered in to win a Google Chromecast. So please fill those out. All right. How many of you guys have a resume? Most of you guys have a resume. How many of you guys have had your resume looked at by someone? A bit less. Okay. Well, for those of you that don't have a resume, or maybe if you do have a resume, maybe you can both learn a few things. A little bit too far. All right. So a basic resume is going to have these sections. You're going to have a header at the top. You're going to have an education section. You're going to list out your experience or the academic projects that you're involved in, and the activities, the skills, and your references are on a separate page. They're not really a part of your resume. They're listed on a separate page. Formatting, I'll get to that in a minute as well. All right, so your header needs to have this information for the most part. So you want to have your name, you want to list an address. If you're applying or putting your resume on like Monster.com or the Ladders or anything like that, you may not want to list your address. You may want to keep that private. But of course, a phone number and an email address. What's most important about your email address is that it's a professional one. You don't want babydaddy1993@gmail.com. You want something that's more reflective of who you are as a professional. So maybe your name, your initials, something more along those lines. If you are in a creative field, so if you're in marketing or communications, specifically advertising or graphic design, and you have a portfolio that you have listed on your personal website where you're showcasing your skills and accomplishments and what you've done, you can list your website. How many of you guys have a LinkedIn? Not enough of you have a LinkedIn. You all need LinkedIn accounts. That's where recruiters are. That's where they're looking to recruit new employees, new interns, and find out a little bit more about you and see how you engage with others. So that's a huge space that you guys might want to consider joining. If you have a LinkedIn account, you can list it here as well, so they can just click that link and go to your LinkedIn. All right, a personal statement. I know it wasn't listed on that first slide, but a personal statement is an optional thing. It's kind of like, how many of you guys have an objective on your resume? A few. It's like the new objective. So, basically what a personal statement is, it's a brief description about your goals, what position you want, and how you can positively impact that company. It's going to be your 3 to 5 most relevant qualifications. You want to avoid generic objectives. So something like, I want to expand my skill set. What does that mean to that employer? That employer wants to know how you can benefit them. But if you don't want to have a personal statement, you don't have to. It's kind of like the objective. You can leave it up completely. All right, education. So your basic education section is going to have the college that you are attending and plan to receive a degree from. So Lamar University, Beaumont, Texas. When you expect to graduate, your degree, you want to make sure to get it right. No, Bachelor of Sciences in Business Administration, Bachelor of Business Administration, and you can also list your GPA. If you have received the Dean's List or President's List, you can also list it here, but it can also go in a separate section as well. And pretty basic section there. If you attended another university but did not receive a degree from that university, it does not go on your resume. Okay. All right. So the section So you're going to list experience, kind of like you listed education. You're going to put where you work, how long you worked there, and this is the location here. The location goes there as well as the position, and you want to use action verbs. So this person coordinated, they launched, they implemented. And especially if you are currently in the position, you don't want to use past tense. You want to use present tense whenever you list out what it is that you've done. Okay. The skills section, so you want to list out any softwares that you're proficient in. If you are an MIS or a computer science major, if you know how to code, you want to list that out. Or any skills that you have, you can organize them, especially if you speak more than one language. You want to list that as well, so this person is fluent in Spanish. And you also want to list if it's, if you just speak it, or if you can speak, read, or write it. Activities. So this person was involved in club basketball, they're involved in a sorority, and they're also involved in a volunteer organization. So they're just listing out chronologically when they were involved in these organizations. Okay, and your references. So your references, like I said, are going to go on a separate page. At no point do you want to list references available upon request from your resume. That's a given. They're probably going to ask for that at some point during that process. But you want to have a header. This header is similar but different than what we had before. But it's the same basic information. So whenever you list out your references, you want their name, of course, the company that they work for, the title, a physical address for the company, a phone number, and an email address. What's really important about your references is you want to be sure to ask them before you just include them on your resume, because you don't want them, especially if you thought that they liked you and they really didn't, and you list them on your resume and that recruiter or hiring manager calls them and says, hey, I'm trying to find a little bit more information about XYZ person, can you tell me? And they're like, didn't know that they were applying for a job. So you always want to be sure and ask that person, and also as you apply for positions, you want to let them know, give them a heads up, say, I applied for this position at this company and I interviewed, and I think it went well, so I expect that you'll be hearing from this company. Okay. So other sections that you can include that I just talked about were basic sections. So you can have things like leadership experience, especially if you were very involved. Maybe you didn't work in college. Maybe you're just involved in organizations and you've held several leadership positions. You can list under leadership experience. Honors and awards. I talked about president's list and dean's list. You don't have to list under education. You can list under honors and awards, especially if you have any scholarships. You can list those there as well. Computer skills, presentations, research projects, certifications and licensures. If you're in education, or if you have an SAP or a certification, you will list those there along with our application dates. Any professional associations you're a member of, publications, if you're a McNair Scholar or involved in a similar organization where you have published research, you can list that there. Anything you're involved with outside of your schoolwork would be extracurricular activities. If you volunteer a lot, volunteering service work. If you speak a number of foreign languages, you can list them separately. International experience, especially if you participated in anything as a part of study abroad. Right. So this is a bad resume. Yes. So a few bad things about it. This person included their street address. Like I said, that's optional for you if you choose to include that. You can just be mindful before you put that information. Their email address isn't very professional. It's kickstand.allstar@email.com. You really don't want to promote that. Again, a more professional email address. Their objective, kind the personal statement and you want to tell what that person wants to do. And it's also optional, so you can choose to leave that off. Their education, that's really okay. This says that the headers aren't centered, but your headers don't really need to be centered. You just want your formatting to be consistent. This person also didn't list a LinkedIn account or a personal website where a recruiter can look at what they've done. What's really important here, and I didn't talk about this, but number 6 is they include information from high school. Unless you are a freshman and this is your first or your second semester, high school doesn't belong on your resume. Simply because it's understood that you went to received the equivalent of a high school degree because you're in college. So anything from high school rolls off after your freshman year. Like I said before, this person listed their leadership activities, but they're currently in a leadership role and listed everything in past tense. Their work experience, they gave very brief bullet points. You want your bullet points to be clear and concise, and this is concise, but it's not very clear what this person did. It just said that they stocked books and managed the front desk and assisted patrons. They also capitalized assisted and misspelled it, so you want to make sure that your resume is grammatically correct and that you've spell checked it. They listed summer 2010 as a time period where they worked somewhere, but everywhere else they listed a range of dates, so you want to be consistent with that as well. And this person includes their references, so that's what's bad about this guy. All right. Something else I also didn't talk about would be an international resume. This is an example of an international resume. And outside of the U.S. especially, this is a more common resume. It's going to have that person's name on it, which is normal, but it's also going to have their picture. In the U.S., we don't include pictures on our resume simply because that opens yourself up for discrimination, and you don't want to do that. This person also listed their birth date, kind of falls in that same line. Their occupation, which you would be able to find that out anyway by reading their resume and what grade they're in. This person is still in high school. But in education, they have how long they attended, primary school, secondary school, intermediate as well. And we don't include that. We just include when we graduated, right? And then I list a few more things, including interest. You typically don't want to list interest on your resume simply because you want your resume to be reflective of your professional skill set. And that's not relevant to the position that you're applying for. Any questions about this resume in particular? No. Okay, so this is an example of a good college resume. It has a link to their LinkedIn profile. They've got a very concise professional summary. They did choose to include it, but it's concise. This person listed their GPA. I would tell you that the standing rule for listing your GPA is if it's below a 2.8, don't list it. They don't mention high school, which is good. He didn't include his coursework. I would tell you that including coursework is okay, especially if you do not have a job in college. Maybe you didn't do an internship or you couldn't because you had to work to pay for school, and that's okay. But you can list academic projects or research papers or group projects in lieu of experience. He used action verbs. He just didn't do a very short, non-meaningful description of what he did. He did not include a list of references. So this is a good example of a resume too. She listed out exactly what we talked about, the college that she attended, where that's located, when she expects to graduate her degree, her GPA. She also listed out her work experience and included the pertinent information of where her job was located, what company she worked for, what her title was, how long she worked there, and her duties. She listed up computer skills and words and activities. There's nothing wrong with this resume. So just a few tips. Proofread your resume. Don't just type out your resume and stare at it for a little bit and say, okay, this is great, I'm going to submit this. You may have stared at that resume for a little bit too long and there's grammatical errors everywhere. You want to have somebody else look at that. Keep your resume to one page. How many of you guys have a 2-page resume? If you have worked in a particular field for a period of time, so 5 or more years, you're going to have a resume that's probably more than 1 page long, and that's okay. But for the typical undergraduate student, you're not going to have enough experience to warrant having a 1+ page resume. So just keep that in mind. Keep your formatting consistent. So if you, like in that previous example, she listed a range of dates, and then she just listed summer 2010. Well, that's not keeping your formatting consistent either. If you're going to center all your headers, center all your headers. And your bullet points, if you choose to put a period after each bullet point, keep that consistent. Okay. Avoid gimmicks. So you're like, what do you mean by gimmicks? I don't understand. So don't put clip art on your resume, especially if you're a teacher. I've seen apples on resumes, and that's cute, but it's not professional, right? So try not to do that. If you're attending the career fair on March 2nd, don't show up with the copies of your printed resume on pink paper, ladies with perfume, because that's going to give you an edge. It's going to go in a circular file. They're not going to look at it. So don't do things like that. Focus on your strong assets. And what I mean by that is, if you're applying for a position, you're supposed to match your resume to the position that you're applying for. But if there's a part of that job description that you just don't have experience with, don't focus on that. Don't try to make that fit in. Focus on what you can fit in and what does fit you strongly. Use an easy-to-read font. I can't stress that enough. I know, ladies, that sometimes we get really excited about putting our name and this pretty font. It's curly and you can't read it. And recruiters don't want to read it either. Again, it's probably going to go in the circular file because it's not professional. But also using like Comic Sans, you want that font to be easy to read. You don't want the recruiter to have to kind of tilt their head and say, what is their name? I don't know. I don't know what their name is. You also don't want to use a lot of colors. On that last resume that we looked at, she just had, her name was in red, and the line underneath each section was red. That's okay. You don't want your resume to be all sorts of different colors. Unless you're a graphic design major or someone in a creative field, you want your resume to be more black font. A lot of black font, not so many colors. Okay. Focus on clarity. So what do I mean by that? Tie your resume. Tie what you talk about in your bullet points and how you can benefit that company back to the position that you're applying for. That's going back to focus on your strong assets. You want to focus on clarity and make that clear and concise so they can see, yes, this person is a great fit because of these things. Okay. And then lastly, don't include a picture of personal information like your social security number, your birth date, your religion. You don't want that recruiter to be able to discriminate against you based upon what you include on the resume. You don't even want to open that door. So just leave it all. All right, so kind of how career and professional development can help you. You can schedule an appointment with your consultant to have them look over your resume if you haven't before. Just get another set of eyes on it before you apply to that position or positions. Once you get the interview, or maybe you just want to practice interviewing, we can do a mock interview for you as well as cover letter preparation. You've got a cover letter that you're submitting as a part of your packet. We can cover that as well. If you've got questions about job search strategies, you're trying to apply for these jobs and you're not getting anywhere, maybe we can help you take a look at that and rewind and see what else you could be doing, or what you could be doing better. And then career and goal planning. Are any of you guys freshmen? A few of you. So if you're kind of unsure about, I'm majoring in this, but I really don't know what I want to do with it, we can help you with that as well. Our Student Employment Center, which is also located in our office, takes walk-in resume critiques. You don't have to schedule that. You can just walk in and say, hey, would you look at my resume, please? And they will look at it for you, as well as cover letters. And if you, how many of you guys are familiar with Hire Cardinal? Not that many. So Hire Cardinal is our online job database. It's going to have off-campus part-time positions, full-time positions, and internships. So if you're looking for an internship or a part-time job or a full-time job off campus, that would be a good resource for you too. But if you've got questions about Hire Cardinal and you tried to apply to this job but you couldn't, they can help you with that too. And then lastly, I know it's a shameless plug, but our spring career fair is March 2nd from 11 to 2 in the McDonald Gym. We hope to all see you guys there. And I even have some bribes to maybe incentivize you to attend. I've got some paydays and some gum up here. Whenever you attend your career fair, whether it's ours or someone else's, you want to dress to impress. And by that we mean wearing business casual or business professional attire. You want to put in copies of your resume, and we can even look at your resume as well. So with that, does anybody have any questions for me?
Are you supposed to put all of your work experience on there, even if it is from or how many years you're supposed to do that?
I would tell you that probably looking back 5 to 10 years would be the most you want to go back. You don't go back any further than that. Any other questions? No? If you're afraid to ask a question because you feel like, I don't want to ask this question because I've never had a resume before, or I've never had it critiqued before, feel free to come down afterwards and ask me any questions that you have. Are there any more questions before I let you guys go? No? All right. Well, I've got some paydays and some gum up here, so if you'd like